film begins, and we are introduced to a scientist and his daughter, Wei. Both of them have strange marks on their faces, which reduce their beauty. The scientist has built a lab in his own house and was conducting some intense experiments there. At the same time, Wei is drawing a picture of a flower called the crop flower. Her dad tells her that this flower has incredible healing power and grows only once in many years, deep inside the forest. The scientist explains that he has used this flower multiple times in his experiments. Eventually, after many days, the scientist finally succeeds in creating a serum that can hide the mark on his face. He had created a serum that could merge the tissues of two different things. He then cuts a piece of skin, applies the chemical on it, and sticks it onto his face. As soon as the skin is applied, it starts growing. The tissue begins to regenerate, and the skin gradually blends into his wound. Even when he cut the skin again, it healed and reconnected. The skin started spreading all over his eyes, nose, everywhere. He kept cutting his lips and eyes, but the skin wouldn't stop spreading. During this, Wei accidentally breaks something. It is revealed that she had killed her father. Now, she was left all alone. Time passes. Wei continues her studies and excels in academics just like her father. Because of this, she gets admission into a top university in the US. She leaves her hometown and moves to the US, where she's supposed to live with her aunt, who has a daughter named Angie. Angie is not happy about Wei's arrival because now she had to share her room. Wei goes to the room and builds a small temple, where she places a photo of her dad, whom she worships like a god. Later, we see Wei going through her father's notes and things. It's revealed that she is still continuing the experiment that led to her father's death. The next day is Wei's first day at university. On the way, she meets a homeless man with a severely damaged face. Wei looks at him for a few seconds. He helps her by showing her the way to the university, and then she leaves. After class, the professor proudly introduces Wei to the class because she scored 100% on the entrance test, something that hasn't happened in years. After class, Wei goes to the science lab to gather some materials, but the professor catches her. She tells him she needs them for an experiment. The professor says she can't just take them without permission, but offers her a deal. If she becomes his lab assistant, she can use the materials. Wei explains that her dad was a scientist, and she wants to continue his research. She shows the professor a photo of her father, which surprises him greatly. After she leaves, he looks him up and finds out Wei's father was indeed a genius, but couldn't complete his work due to lack of funding. Meanwhile, Angie's two friends visit and start snooping around Wei's belongings. They find bloodied tools, strange artifacts, and creepy pictures from her experiments. The three girls are terrified by what they see. The next day, Wei sees Angie sitting with her friends. She admires them and wishes to be friends too. So she packs up her lunch and gives it to the same homeless man, who is sitting at the same spot. She chats with him because she's feeling really sad. She tells him about the mark on her face and how it makes her feel ugly. The man tells her, "That's not true. You're beautiful just the way you are." Talking to him makes Wei feel better. While heading home, she runs into her professor, who offers her a lift. He tells her that he wants to help complete her research and asks for her permission to do so, since it was originally her father's work. Wei is overjoyed and agrees, as this is the first time someone has offered to help her. From the next day, they begin working together. On the way, Wei even apologizes to Angie and makes peace with her. At this time, Alice, Angie's friend, has a poster featuring the same flower her father used in his experiments. This triggers Wei's memory. She finds out the flower is being exhibited at a nearby farm exhibition. She remembers her father's words, that the flower is essential for the experiment. So, she decides to steal it. At night, she sneaks into the farm and steals the flower from the exhibition. She brings it back to the university lab and begins her experiment. Unknown to her, the professor and Alice were hiding there and observing everything. Wei extracts the juice from the flower and adds it to her experiment. She then cuts her own foot skin, splits it in two, applies the serum, and astonishingly, the skin pieces merge back together. Then, She applies the serum to the place she removed the skin from and sticks a patch of her own skin back on. It starts regenerating instantly. The professor watches in shock through the window. He sends Alice away and then confronts Wei. She explains how the serum from the flower has made the experiment successful. As she shows him her regenerated skin, Alice misunderstands the situation and becomes jealous. She takes strange photos of Wei and confronts her angrily before dragging her out of the lab. Wei, scared and shocked by the sudden confrontation, leaves her notebook behind, which makes the professor extremely happy as it contains valuable information. Meanwhile, Alice sends the photos to Angie. Now, the professor is trying to translate Wei's father's diary into English. Angie, after seeing the photos, becomes furious and vandalizes Wei's room. During this rampage, Angie ends up dying, though Wei never intended to kill her. Panicking, Wei drags Angie's body to the washroom to hide it. Disturbing thoughts begin to enter her mind. She starts cutting Angie's skin off, removes the entire face, and applies it on herself. She now looks exactly like Angie. At this time, Angie's mom returns home. Seeing Wei with Angie's face, she mistakes her for her daughter, hugs her, and showers her with love. Wei finds this new life comforting. Now she decides to continue living as Angie. Not only did Wei take revenge, but in the morning she also wore Angie's clothes and disguised herself as Angie. She started enjoying Angie's life. When she went to the university, the first person she met was Angie's boyfriend. It was the first time a guy had come so close to her, and she felt really good about it. Now, with Angie's face, she began enjoying Angie's life. That's when she realized how boring her own life had been in her original body. Angie had good friends, a boyfriend, and a loving mother. Wei even went on a date with Angie's boyfriend. When they were getting close, suddenly the skin of Angie's face began peeling off from Wei's body. Seeing this, the boy got extremely scared. It was all very creepy. Terrified, the boy started backing away from her and didn't realize there was a slope behind him. He fell down and died. Frightened, Wei returned home and started searching for her father's notebook, as it might contain the secret to making the skin transformation permanent. But she couldn't find the notebook because the professor had it. Luckily, she still had a little bit of the serum left. She injected it again and regained Angie's face. On the other hand, the professor was now seen searching for the flower that could perfect the experiment. While searching, he got a call from his translator, who was translating the notebook into English. The translator warned him that the experiment was extremely dangerous and continuing it could be risky. He clearly told the professor to stop the experiment immediately, but the professor ignored him. Meanwhile, Wei returned to the university to get her father's notebook from the lab, but didn't find it there either. She called him. The professor admitted he had the notebook, but said she wouldn't be getting it, as he planned to publish the experiment under his own name. Hearing this, Wei became furious, but there was nothing she could do, so she quietly left. Just as she stepped out of the university, she saw Eve and found out that Eve was also having an affair with the professor. Filled with rage, Wei decided to take it out on Eve. Disguised as Angie, she invited Eve to her home, and Eve came over. As soon as she arrived, Wei attacked her in anger. Eve was shocked and tried to escape, running into the garden, but Wei caught her there too and killed her using a drill machine. Then she skinned Eve and wore her skin on her face. Now, she looked exactly like Eve. She even styled her hair like Eve's and wore her clothes. By checking Eve's phone, she copied her mannerisms so no one would recognize her. During all this, a neighbor's dog, having seen too much, began barking loudly. The neighbors called the police. When the police came, they saw Eve in a towel and left without questioning anything. The next morning, Wei, disguised as Eve, went to university. It felt great because Eve was a popular student and everyone was happy to see her. Still, as Eve, she went to the professor's house, knowing she could finally get her dad's notebook from there. The professor, unaware that Eve was actually Wei, let her in. Wei searched the house but couldn't find the notebook, She left for the time being. That night, she hid the two murdered bodies, Angie and Eve, by throwing them into the pool. She then checked Angie and Eve's phones and found the photo of herself and the professor that Alice had been planning to use to defame her. Wei used that same picture against the professor by emailing it to the authorities. Upon discovering that the professor had been exploiting girls for his own benefit, the authorities immediately had him arrested. However, because of the professor's powerful connections, he got released on bail the very next day. Once back home, the professor restarted the same experiment that actually belonged to Wei's father. Following the steps from the notebook, he successfully created the serum and tried to merge two pieces of skin tissue. Surprisingly, due to the chemical, the two skin tissues fused together. His experiment was a success. He was overjoyed. At this point, Wei arrived at the professor's house. Seeing her, the professor got excited and welcomed her in. He asked her to wait in the living room while he went to get them something to eat and drink. As soon as he left, Wei began searching for her father's notebook. She found the serum in a cabinet, the one the professor had just made, and instead of staying, she ran away with it. The professor became suspicious when he saw her fleeing. Upon opening the cabinet, he realized the serum was missing. That night, Wei was at home with the stolen serum when Alice came to visit and told her that both of their friends, Angie and Eve, had gone missing under strange circumstances. She was very disturbed. Wei hugged her and tried to comfort her. Alice wanted some water, and when she opened the fridge, she was horrified to find the chopped-up body parts of her two friends stored inside. Terrified, she screamed. Before anyone could hear her or she could tell someone, Wei covered her mouth with a linen wrap, suffocated her, and murdered her too. Before she could hide Alice's body, the doorbell rang. It was the professor. Seeing the door open, he walked in. Inside, he found Wei sitting in a strange, eerie manner. She suddenly started laughing maniacally. Her behavior confused the professor. Then, congratulating the professor on the successful experiment, she suddenly added angrily, "This wasn't your experiment, it was my dad's." The professor tried to ignore her and moved toward the fridge to get his serum. As soon as he opened it and saw the dead bodies, he was horrified. At this point, controlling the situation became difficult, but Wei showed her cunning once again. She stabbed the professor in the neck with a tranquilizing injection, knocking him out. When the professor regained consciousness, he realized Wei had skinned his entire body. He screamed in horror. Wei then injected the serum into him and placed a patch of skin on his body. That skin began to grow, just like in the beginning of the movie when the skin had grown on Kim's father's face. She had put a straw in his mouth, and the skin started spreading everywhere else. Because of the growing skin, the professor started suffocating and died shortly after. His last screams were heard by a neighbor who again informed the police. Hearing that the police were on the way, Wei panicked and ran out of the house, knowing she would be caught. The police saw her fleeing and began chasing her. While running, she came across the homeless man she had always treated kindly. She begged for his help, and he hid her under his blanket. The police didn't find her. But as she sat down, the vial of serum she had with her accidentally broke. As a result, her and the homeless man's body tissues started merging. Their bodies fused into one, and they both transformed into a strange monster. There was nothing Wei could do now. She sat there as the monster she had become. Just then, she saw Angie's mother approaching, looking for her daughter. Wei couldn't even tell her about Angie. And with that, the story ended.